Hello! This video is for new teachers, and it's just kind of a chit-chat video about feedback, about classroom management, and just about things that maybe I wish I knew when I first started teaching. So I hope that you stay tuned, and I hope that this helps you. So, I have been teaching for almost 6 months online. And so, if you don't know, I was teaching classroom before this, and I decided to homeschool my children, and this was the perfect job for me. And so, what I want to talk about is first of all, um, that you need to. I know when you're first starting that I was obsessed. I mean, obsessed. And rightly so, because this is my income, right? And that's also why I work for two companies, just in case something happens with the other. So, but even though I have a busy schedule with two companies, I am taking time off for Christmas. Now, you may not want to take time off when you first begin teaching, but I want to remind you that, say, a month in, you're like, wow, I can make so much money if I work at night and in the morning and all night on the weekends. Guys, you really just don't want to overwhelm yourself. Number one, almost every teacher I know ends up with a sore throat or getting sick because they're teaching too much, okay? So you need to conserve your energy. Just like any teacher, any person, you need to have that energy to share. And if you overwork yourself, then you won't have it. Okay. My next tip is about writing feedback. So, when you're new, you really want to get parent feedback, right? So, I think that it is okay to ask the parents to leave you feedback. It's okay to have a little reminder. So, I will tell you exactly what my feedback says, and I will tell you that you need to use a translator. So Google Translate is fine. I use Google Translate before I send my feedback most of the time. But when you're starting out, please be sure to do this because you really want to simplify the way that you leave your feedback. So let me see if I can find it. Okay. For example, I said that my student pronounced strange correctly throughout the lesson, and this is how it came out when I translate it. He is very strange throughout the course. Okay, so things don't always translate perfectly. So when you run it through the translator, you're going to say, oh, okay, how can I simplify that sentence so it sounds correct when it translates? You do want to be careful because you don't want to tell them that their child was strange or, any of these other things that can happen. So let me see something else. Like this, it says, the problem of the game of basketball and who is better at basketball. So whatever I typed did not sound correct, so I fixed that. So here is what I said in my feedback. Okay, this is what it sounds like when I type it. Bao Bao did very well in our lesson this evening. He began by answering my question, do you have plans for Saturday and Sunday? He said he will do homework, watch TV, and play basketball with his brother. I ask him many questions. I want him to speak more about his life in English. He did well in the lesson looking at photos and discussing the possible stranger danger. He had good pronunciation of the word stranger. Thank you for practicing with him. I work very hard in class to be sure that Bao Bao is understanding the meaning of what he is reading and also pronouncing the reading correctly. If you have a moment to leave me a 5 apple rating, I would be very happy. Now, remember, with VIP Kid, you will say 5 apples. With GoGoKid, you will ask for 5 stars. So do be aware of that. And I also said happy holidays from America. Okay, so it translated very well. Okay, um, that translated just perfect, except it said, I hope he can talk more about English. So things will translate kind of strange. Now, I will use, let me see, I will use this and the word. So we worked on the word empire. Oops, don't mind my writing this morning. And you put it inside of these and it will not translate. That way they see the English word that needs practice. Okay, now I don't always talk about words that need practice. Let me tell you why. Because not all of these parents can help their students pronounce the words correctly. So what I say now is we will continue to practice correct pronunciation of these words. I don't say please practice at home anymore because they might not be practicing it correctly. All right, so also on feedback, I guess this is mostly going to be about feedback. I take notes before class and I write down my child's name and what lesson we are doing, what they needed help with last time, which you can, if you use Feedback Panda, you can go check, and also on VIPKID, you can go back and see what your comments were in the teacher to teacher feedback. Um, and I write what reward we're going to use. Then I take notes about what we talked about, what they needed help with, so that I can write good feedback. I don't think feedback should be extremely long. If you're using a template that talks about everything that you did in the lesson, chances are you might lose the parent's interest before they get to the good stuff. So just keep it simple. You know, you do want to talk about what they did well, something they did well with, something they need help with, something they did well with, and then something personal. And here is my take. After only 6 months, I'm no professional and I'm not I'm not a trainer for these companies. But I will say this. The parents are most interested in correct pronunciation for their child. I do not interrupt the child in the middle of their speaking. I wait till the end and then I go back and I will talk about the word that they mispronounced. And if it is an older level student, I will make sure they know what that word means as well. And this can be time consuming with some students, but it is very important. They learn this word empire and how to say it correctly, and then they don't even know what it means. No good, right? So you have to meet both of those points. I also think it is very, very important to have fun in class. So if you haven't seen it in my other videos, I will share with you now um, this dice game that I play. So I let them choose a dice, and then these are the things that we do with the dice. So if you have any questions about these games, you can email me and we can talk about it. But I want to make sure that my student has fun in class because you know what? School in China is very difficult and these children are working very hard and they can sometimes be stressed and tired. So I want my class to be fun. And I just really like making connections with these children. So something that is very important is writing down notes about them, writing down what they like, writing down about their family, whatever you find out when you're talking in the beginning of class, write it down. Remember, because it's so important. None of us want to be a number, right? We want people to remember things about us. In my opinion, this life is all about connections. So let's make these connections with these kids and they will keep coming back to you. I have all regular students. I love them. I think today I had a new student because I opened up in the 24-hour slot, which I'm going to start doing on Saturdays, is just doing 24-hour slots because I do have a trial in 5 minutes and I haven't had a trial for a while. It's pre-VIP. But I got a new student today, a level 5, and because I didn't open up and then I did. So if you're fully booked with regulars and you want some new students, you want to mix it up, you can just not open that space and then open it 24 hours and you might get a new student. So what else can I tell new teachers? Um, Come into class a little bit before, make yourself a little camera cover It's just a paper towel roll. I use paper towel rolls because they're white and they're not as ugly. Oh, I dropped it. They're not as ugly as a toilet paper roll. And then you can, I'll show you how it looks. I mean, you probably know because you've probably seen this, but if you don't have this, it's really neat to have. So it just goes here, and then you make different little cards. I just use stickers. That looks terrible. And so what you do is you go into class and you put your microphone on mute, and then about 2 minutes before class at least, I will go in and I will open my camera and I will have this covering, and that way they know you're there, you're waiting, and they just cannot wait to see you. So I do that now, and then at 5 seconds I unmute my mic and I count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello. And then we start, and I always begin by asking them, "How are you? What is going on with you? What have you been doing?" You know, I teach a lot of upper level, so we can have a good conversation. But even these upper level students, they need practice expressing themselves in English. So I always tell parents that I'm trying to get them to express their thoughts in English, because it is one thing to read off the PowerPoint, to do what you're supposed to do, be a robot, but we don't want to create robots. We want to create native sounding English speakers. So that is something that I think is very important. Okay, ha! Good tip, good tip. Do not get lazy while they are reading a long passage and start. Okay, so here I'm going to look at my phone. Can you tell I'm looking at my phone? Yes, you can tell I'm looking at my phone, right? Keep your face on the screen. Look at your student. I don't even do this to drink water very often unless I'm just choking and I need water or coffee. But keep your face on the screen. There's automated systems that are tracking the way you are teaching. So you want your face on the screen and you want your attention on the child. So don't get tempted. It's no problem to like just jot down a note. I can jot down notes barely looking at the paper. I can still look at the student. But you don't want to be looking at your phone, you guys, and you don't want to be switching screens to look at something else. Just focus. Give that child everything that you have, and I promise that you will get good things in return. Okay, you guys, I hope that was helpful for any new teachers out there. And please subscribe and leave me a comment and have an awesome weekend. Bye.